Hi, it's Charlie McCann from Stan James. Welcome to a preview of the African Cup of Nations, which begins in Angola on Sunday. 32 games between Sunday and 31st of January, and the final will be played in Luanda in Angola hosting for the first time. African Cup of Nations, first time I think it may be an even number. I think Sepp Blatter and a lot of the FIFA executive are trying to get the African Cup of Nations to fit in with the world structure, so that of course this year it of course coincides with the World Cup year, and I don't think it wouldn't surprise me if 2010, maybe 2012, but by 2015 it will be a summer tournament held in an odd number, so make sure it doesn't coincide with the World Cup year. Let's get on to the teams we have at Stan James. The 13-5 favourites are the Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, of course, were a group of death in the World Cup, as they did last World Cup. Later in the year, they really have a difficult task, but I think probably on paper, maybe they have the best team with their Chelsea talismans, Didier Drogba. It's a massive year, of course, for Drogba when you think the World Cup, and of course what he has to when he comes back to the Premier League in February with Chelsea at the top of the Premiership, and also the Champions League and the FA Cup on the horizon as well. Massive year for Drogba. How big are those massive shoulders? He plays, of course, for the Elephants, that they are affectionately known, the Ivory Coast. Solomon Kalou, his teammate, all the familiar names to look out for: Yaya Nkole Toure, Didier Zokora of Sevilla now, of course, who played for Tottenham, and of course Emmanuel Eboué, rather, of Arsenal, of course. So many Arsenal supporters would think that's not a great loss. Ghana are the 7-2 second favourites, can't have them whatsoever. No Suleiman Tari. He came home, he refused to turn up for a friendly and was fined. He subsequently didn't pay the fine, so good discipline, I think, in Suleiman Tari of Inter Milan, now of course ex-Pompey. He doesn't make it, so skipper Stephen Apaya also doesn't make it as well, and the Black Stars have too much emphasis surely on Michael Essien. Of course, Michael Essien's been out since the last round of the Champions League. Can't have Ghana whatsoever. Can't have the Pharaohs of Egypt either. They're of course looking for a hat-trick. They won on home soil in 2006, and they beat Cameroon 1-0 in Ghana last time. No Amir Zaki and no Mido as well. Mido, of course, the Middlesbrough striker, on loan at present, and Amir Zaki as well, who flattered to deceive, I think it's fair to say, at Wigan Athletic last season, and really Dave Whelan wouldn't particularly give him a reference, but it's maybe a team in transition. Of course, they didn't qualify for the World Cup in South Africa later in the year. They were beaten on two legs, in the playoff by Algeria. I just can't have Egypt for that. They are 4-1 with Stan James. I can't have them, and it's Cameroon 6-1 into 5-1. We've seen money for Cameroon. They're the team. First thing that Philippe Le Guen, the new manager, did, and discipline is I think key, and has been since, remember, Italia 90, going back that long with the Cameroon. Very talented team, beat Argentina, and were arguably lucky. It may have been discipline. I think 2 penalties Gary Lineker scored that England beat Cameroon. We said at the time that they were going to be maybe the African team to come over. Well, they've won the African Cup of Nations, I think 4 times. This will be they'll be looking for a 5th time. Eto'o is the new captain. I just think that this Cameroon side, I've been a big fan of Alex Song of Arsenal. I think it is their time for Cameroon. It's taken maybe some time to get over the extraordinary tragedy that befell Marc-Vivien Foé, the West Ham player, who was wonderful football. I think that was in the Confederations Cup time, but I think it's Cameroon for me. 5-1 from 6-1. Then the betting then is 10-1 Nigeria, 12-1 Algeria, 10-1 Nigeria, 12-1 Algeria. In that, let's go look at the top scorer. No surprise there, Didier Drogba is the 9-2 favourite from Eto'o. Then we have Asamoah Gyan. Now this is a Rennes striker who plays up front for Ghana. As I say, I can't fancy the Black Stars particularly. I can't really have him. Amada Mateb of Egypt. He plays his club football in Egypt. He's a 10-1 shot. Mohamed Zidane, he is plays for Borussia Dortmund. He is somebody to look out for. If Egypt are going to go a long way in this tournament, I think Zidane has got a massive role to play. Emmanuel Adebayor for Manchester City. The Togolese striker, he's a 16-1 shot. Pierre Webo of Cameroon, this is the Real Mallorca striker. I'm hoping that he may be the one to help Samuel Eto'o fire the bullets for Cameroon to glory. He's a 16-1 shot, as is Freddie Kanuti, the Mali striker. He of course plays for Sevilla, and I think it's 18-1 bar. Just a couple of games to look out for. As I say, 32 games over 3 weeks. Final Luanda on the 31st. The Group A, Algeria 11-8, Angola 7-4. Just favour Algeria here. Monday the 18th of January, that big game, Angola and Algeria. Friday the 15th, we have Ivory Coast versus Ghana in Group B. That will just hopefully decide Group A and B. I just say I'm Ivory Coast over Ghana in that game. Fascinating to see Drogba and Essien go head-to-head in that. Tuesday the 12th of January in Group C, the big game there, Egypt 10-11 Nigeria at even money. Cameroon 4-6 to top the group in Group D. I think this is a shoe-in. Tunisia 9-4 second best, but that's one of the reasons I do fancy Cameroon at 5-1 to win the African Cup of Nations. It'll be their 5th success. Be lucky.